Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Third and 10 podcast, episode number 37. I'm your host, Nathan Nguyen, joined by my guy, Brian Germinaro. Brian, happy Thursday to you. How you doing, man?
The Yankees lose. This morning.
Hey, man, it's sad that baseball's officially over, but for you, I'm sure that the result of how this season went, even though your Mets didn't get to the World Series and win it,
Lost to the best.
lost to the best.
It's that simple.
Damn right. That's the best consolation prize you could ask for. So, for those of you who don't know, the Dodgers did win the World Series. They won it in 5 games. Yeah, they won in 5 games, 4-1. Last night they were down 5-0, and it looked like they were going to go to Game 6, go back to LA, and see if they could finish it off there.
Give they should punt. After they went down 5-0, I'm like, just punt the game. Don't put your best bullpen arms in and just go back to LA.
But then, the Yankees blew it. There was a mishap.
Worst innings I've ever seen in my life. Like Aaron Judge dropping a routine fly ball. Like at that moment, every Yankee fan should have known they were going to lose that game. You don't make the captain makes an error like that. That's just bad juju in general.
Yeah, and then you had the grounder to first base. As dogs are barking for no reason. I apologize if you guys can hear that. There was a ground ball to first base that Rizzo got, and there was a miscommunication between Garrett Cole and Anthony Rizzo because Rizzo thought Cole was going to go to first, but Cole was pointing to Rizzo to run to the base. Mookie Betts hustle made the difference
with Mookie up, if you're Cole, you have to go to first. There's no excuse. That's 100% on Garrett Cole. You know how fast Mookie Betts is. You know Rizzo is kind of far off the bag. So at the very least, you have to come up with some sort of backup plan in case Rizzo can't get to that bag in time.
Yeah, so overall, that one moment along with the Aaron Judge routine fly ball, those are two pivotal moments in this game. Dodgers came back 5-0, tied to 5-5, and ended up winning the game. And the Dodgers are World Series champions. And that is the end of the 2024 MLB season. So Freddie Freeman won MVP, had 12 RBIs.
had 12. Like after game one, you're like, if the Dodgers win this series, it's going to be Freeman's MVP.
And he played so well. Like Ohtani was kind of quiet after games 1 and 2, and the shoulder injury may have made the difference there. But Freeman was just on a tear. He
on one leg.
They
messed up all. It's a 4 to 6 week injury, and he was back in like a few days, and he's been dealing with the ankle injury all postseason. And then to go on the run that he did in the World Series, like it's Kirk Gibson. It's Kirk Gibson hobbling to the plate in Game 1 of the '88 World Series. That's what it is.
Yeah, he's a great player, and honestly, he went through a lot this year. I think with his son, with health issues and everything, he had the support of the team though, and he, just was phenomenal. I guess
he's a great guy. It really is. Just an all around good dude, and as a Mets fan, he tormented me for years in the Braves. I guess the Yankees now know what that feels like. So he's kind of. He'll go down in New York baseball lore as a villain, but he's a great dude. Like, just objectively speaking, an all-time great. Like, you've seen the video, speaking of which, happy Halloween, everybody. But the kid on Halloween, he's trick-or-treating, and he's dressed up as Freddie Freeman. And Freeman's like, "Are you me?" And he takes a picture with him.
Aww.
Like, that's just a great, if you have never seen that video, go find it. It's a great, wholesome moment. If you need a little smile on a Thursday, that'll put it right on your face.
On and off the field, he's an incredible guy. So, love Freddie. Congrats on the MVP and to the Dodgers, another World Series. This is not a Mickey Mouse ring this time around. So, congrats to them and the MLB.
Here's a question.
What's up?
Does this World Series validate 2020, or is that will always be looked at as a Mickey Mouse in your eyes? Because I think it will be Mickey Mouse.
I think it's still a Mickey Mouse. COVID. I think any ring that was won during the 2020 season is Mickey Mouse. I mean, the Lakers won the bubble. That's definitely Mickey Mouse ring. Dodgers with the COVID situation. Yeah. Any
Because
to me,
I
yeah.
saw people online. They were like, "This is like the Astros winning in 2021 that validated 2017." I'm like, "No, it's a little different."
A little different because
Cheating in 2017 to not cheating based off a pandemic where the season shortened and you're playing in a neutral site and all these weird things going on. It's not. It's apple and oranges. What happens?
same thing with the Dodgers, like you just mentioned with the shortened season in 2020, right? And then but this time they played all 162. Um, went on the road, beat the Yankees. This is a valid World Series. This is a normal season, I guess to say, and they got the job done. They had star players, but the one flaw that stood out was their pitching staff heading into the World Series, but they made it count. Yamamoto, Bueller. Uh, I think I'm missing someone else.
Flaherty, great in game one, but
There
like
you go.
real, he. We were talking last night because I was working last night at the game, and we like all the writers and stuff in the press box watching, and
Yeah.
we were like, either Jack Flaherty is the most inconsistent pitcher ever, or he's kipping his pitches. Because
Mhm.
there's no way, because it happened in the NLCS too. Game one, he's dominant. Game five, he got shelled. Same thing. Game one, World Series, dominant. Game five, got 4 outs. Come on, dude. Like, you can't be, it's either you're really inconsistent or there's something that teams can pick up on fast.
And that's his struggles in the playoffs. Maybe the reason why he isn't brought back by the team, but I think that's obviously looking too far.
And we'll move into the off season in a minute. A lot of Mets articles coming up for me. Going to be like doing what we did at the deadline. We'll break down like hitters, pitchers, relievers. We'll probably just do a Juan Soto article at some point.
Oh, yeah, and we'll cover some baseball here as well because this is our first off season together that we have the MLB off season, so we'll incorporate that into the podcast itself. But overall, your thoughts on the season, man? I know your Mets didn't obviously go win it all, but the season was a fun one. I feel like
It
it was,
was
it
a
was fun.
fun season. A lot of great storylines. You had history being made with the White Sox. I know that's not, positive, but like, it's positive for Met fans. We're no longer villains. We're no
That's
longer
true.
lovable losers. It's them. But you have them, the Tigers, the Mets going on their runs. A lot of young, promising teams like the Royals coming out of nowhere, the Guardians. The future is bright in baseball, and we had a really, really entertaining postseason with a lot of. I know the World Series was a little bit of a letdown, but the wild card rounds were great. The NLDSs were great. The AL, and both NLDSs were great. ALDS was great. A little bit of a letdown, but there's just a lot of hope that we're going to be the changing of the guard. We're going to go from like the Phillies and the Phillies and the Astros dominating to like the Mets and Royals and the Orioles kind of dominating. So it's nice to see.
It's the youth that's gonna be key for these next few years, man. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. and the Royals and the Mets, along with their veterans and Lindor and
Mets.
everything. You have young players are stepping up as well. So
The Orioles, young players, and guys still not coming up yet because we still need a full season with Jackson Holiday. Rutschman, I know didn't have a great season, but he will eventually bounce back. The Guardians had some youth, Tigers with youth. Like it's just a lot of fun young prospects are finally coming up.
and we'll have to see it. So can't wait for next season. Can't wait to see what the offseason lies. Juan Soto is obviously the main story. We'll see where he decides to go this winter. If he stays with the Yankees or signs with any of the 29 other teams, cross that 28 because no way he's going to Oakland. So
He said all 30 teams are. He's open all 30 teams. Said it last night.
well, the A's aren't one of them.
More on John Fisher not going after him, but it's not Juan Soto saying he's not going to Oakland. He's saying he's not going to Oakland.
That is true. Yeah, good point. Good point. Alrighty. As we shift towards baseball, towards football, fortunately, we have to cover our Giants. who will be facing the Washington Commanders this weekend on Sunday. The last time the Giants faced the Commanders was in week 2 when the Giants lost 21-18. As you guys know, that game was filled with a bunch of BS. We didn't have a kicker because Graham Gano got hurt on the first play. Literally the first play of the game on a kickoff. Let's see what we did. We were the first team ever in NFL history. So we made history that day, at least, to score 3 touchdowns. We didn't allow a touchdown, and we still lost in regulation. So
yeah, I mean I'm not happy, but it was positives. Malik Neighbors coming out party. That's
true.
when he kind of established himself. Like, oh, this guy's good.
True. And so Malik Neighbors did go off. To be exact, 10 catches, 127 and a touchdown. Had that pivotal drop though on fourth down that kind of was the main storyline.
It sticks in your head
Yeah,
of that game. It kind of overshadows everything.
Yeah, there you go. So that was something that was a pivotal moment there that contributed to the loss per se, but overall, there's no excuses for a team to still lose when you score 3 touchdowns and allow none. Yet Washington came out, scored 7 field goals by Austin Seibert, got the job done. And the more pressing matter is that Washington was 0 for 6 in the red zone and 0 for 3 in goal-to-goal situations, and they still won. So there has to be a lot of changes heading into this matchup. And so I want to know from you, what do the Giants need to do to win this game? Because Washington has just gotten better and better by every single week.
Yeah.
They're 6-2 on the season now.
6-2 coming off the win of the season. Like a win we're going to be Washington will talk about for generations. So we play on every NFL highlight reel for, the next 30 years. Like, this is just an all-time play. Could be a letdown spot. Very emotional win. Could be a letdown coming next week. But if the Giants want to win this game, it's a very similar game plan to what they did against the Steelers. Be competitive. Be in the game late. Force the Commanders to make that mistake. Stop them. Hold them to field goals. Make them go 0-6 in the red zone again. I think if you're the Giants, on offense, no mistakes from Daniel Jones. That means no fumbles, no interceptions, none of that. Got to limit the drops, all right? Slade and Wandell Robinson have been, kind of the poster boys for it. Malik Neighbors has got to, if it's a big moment, can't drop that football. And then we have to figure out, if Tyrone Tracy's even playing. I doubt it. He looked pretty dazed in that thing. So we got to figure out how to match his production. Do you maybe incorporate some quarterback runs? Because, we know Jones has that ability. So maybe you kind of catch Washington off guard. Like, that's kind of what you have to do in this game.
Yeah, according to the Giants injury report, Tyrone Tracy was expected to work with the trainers on Wednesday. But there hasn't been really much updates.
I would doubt if he plays. I'd be shocked if he played on Sunday. I think it's because it's a short week. It looked like a back concussion from just watching it. So I'm expecting him at least this week and maybe next week. We might not see him before the bye.
Yeah, and Neighbors, missed 2 games because of the concussion. So, man, bad luck just keeps happening. It just keeps happening to us, man. It sucks.
I know, and it's just like it stinks because it was just such a great game for Tracy, and he could just build up on that. He's got to readjust.
Tracy has the second most rushing yards among all rookies with 376, just behind Bucky Irving up to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In terms of scrimmage yards, Neighbors and Tracy rank 4th and 5th with their respective numbers. So,
Joe Shea nailed it.
Hey, hell of a draft. Hell of a draft this year, man. Josh Azudu also not practicing for the Giants. And there's other players as well, but those are the 2 notable guys.
What'd you think of his comments? Did you see that?
Which one?
He talked about how he kept TJ Watt on an island for 3.5 quarters and only made 1 impact play. Yeah, but the 1 impact play sunk us. So
Illuminor.
Yeah, Illuminor. I'm sorry, I got it mixed up.
I was like, Azudu played against the Steelers.
No.
He would have been killed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I did see that. I mean, I guess.
You can't be saying that when your team lost and you
Uh-huh.
gave up the big impact play. It's like it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, okay, you might have played a good game, but what is everybody going to remember?
Exactly.
Rondell Malik Neighbors had that great Washington game. What do you remember
Mhm.
about that game?
The drop.
The drop, exactly. So people, it's not a healthy way of thinking, but the negative will always stick out more. And your negative was that play that led to the fumble.
Mhm. And for offensive linemen, right, they could play the most outstanding game, but if they allow like the sack fumble or allow a injury to happen to a quarterback, who they're gonna, that's gonna be the one moment that fans,
Yeah,
look at and will remember. So even though it wasn't all Luminor's fault because he was expecting that shift from Theo Johnson that Deion Jones was supposed to call, at the end of the day was the guy against T.J. Watt. So
you let TJ Watt have you're expecting the block, but like we're not going to blame Theo Johnson because if you, like you said, if you box him up for 3.5 quarters, why didn't that continue on that play? Why are you relying on help then? You
mhm,
clearly got it.
mhm. So overall, I think a few things for me that would be key for the Giants to win the command or to beat the Commanders, I should say. First off, Malik, you continue to go off like you did in week 2. They have the same defense. They're not a great defense, even though Dan Quinn has been leading that team
The
to
most out of that roster. It reminds me a lot of Dable in 2022 when he was just
ah,
making the most out of that roster. It wasn't a great offense, but he made the most out of it. Quinn's kind of doing the same thing with that defense.
and they can't cover Malik. That
No.
that's more than clear. So Malik go off two. The Commanders ran for 215 rushing yards against the Giants. We gotta limit that. We cannot let that happen again. The Giants were good against the pass. They shut down the passing game. They had 5 sacks, only 226 yards, no touchdowns, obviously. Same thing, but or even better for that Giants defense to kind of replicate that performance. Singletary, if he's going to officially start on Sunday, if he could replicate that performance where he went for 16 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown, I'll take that. And then Eric Gray has to step up as well. Let's see it. If Tracy's out, let's see Eric Gray step up. He hasn't really done much this season, so let's see him step up. So, and finally, please, when you score touchdowns, hit extra points.
Yes, which shouldn't be a problem because God willing, we'll have a healthy kicker and won't tear his hamstring on a kickoff. But we don't know. We don't know because he might hit the injury report on Saturday and it might be deja vu all over again.
Yeah. And finally, the Giants are at home. Um, and fun fact, they have scored a touchdown on just one of 44 drives at home this season. We suck.
This is Daniel Jones' last chance to throw a touchdown pass before the president changes. Remember in 2022 with Biden,
you brought it
this is the
up.
last home game, Election Tuesday. There's a chance there might be a president difference between his last. And I know it's a little different, but it's never good when you can say, "All right, my last touchdown pass was when X was in office." That person is no longer in office.
So the deadline is on the 5th. Oh, so we'll be on Tuesday to talk about not the election, but the trade deadline.
No, no,
So
no. We're going to do top 5 things to do to avoid the election.
right, thank you, buddy. But yeah, we'll have that for you. But I think even at home, unless this Giants offense just somehow changes overnight, I think we're gonna probably lose this game. Jane Daniels has played
No, it's a
well.
loss. This
That's
game's a
fine.
loss.
Yeah.
As long as
Because
Daniel Jones is at quarterback, the offense can't work the way Dable wants to call it. They're hamstring with that, and it's just a black cloud over the whole organization. It's just like we're gonna lose this game. How?
mhm.
Well, we can win today. It's like nope, we're gonna lose. It's just a matter of how we do it. Are we gonna get blown out, or are they gonna rip our hearts out?
There you go. All right, last segment here. A bit of a shortened show for you guys today. It's Halloween, so you kind of we got some things to take care of and stuff like that. So we want to go over real quick um our Heisman favorite. Me and Brian each have one guy that to us stands out and should win the Heisman. So Brian, we'll start with you. Who do you think will? Because we're past the midseason point. The season that college
There's
football seasons, yeah.
there's 5 weeks left before playoffs,
Holy
bowls
crap.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the college football season is approaching its end, sort of the regular season to be exact. So we thought, hey, let's kind of reveal who our Heisman winner is. So we'll start with you, Brian. Who do you think should win the Heisman this year so far from what you've seen?
I think it's Travis Hunter because
Okay.
the Heisman winner is supposed to go to the best college football player, and nobody in this country has been better than Travis Hunter. You can make the argument that the kid from Boise State has may put up better numbers, but Travis Hunter a major part of the Colorado offense and the star of the defense.
Hmm.
Nobody in the country can say that. He plays 122 snaps a game. He, makes 6 receptions for like over 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. He has the interceptions. He, deflects passes. He probably leads the team in tackles. He's a guy, like, he's a once in a generational talent that we will never see again. Like, it's Charles. The last time there's a guy like this was Charles Woodson in 1998. All right, like that was 20 years ago. So it's finally time to give it to a defensive player. If Travis Hunter was doing this at Georgia, at Alabama, at Ohio State, he would be the front runner, no doubt. It's just because he's at Colorado and there's a bias against Dion, which kind of warranted. He is a tad overrated, but he's had a great season this year. I do not want to take that away from him. He's really gonna, if he stays at Colorado, he's gonna build that program into a powerhouse. The media, they don't like what he's doing, so he's not getting the odds. But it's Travis Hunter for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue against that at all. I mean, to play offense and defense is something you don't see on a daily basis, right? Yes, Gianti's had a heck of a season. Cam Ward has played great for Miami. Same with Dylan Gabriel and Clay Klubnik for their respective colleges in Oregon and Clemson. But for a guy that plays offense and defense and plays it at a high level, and you can see his impact when he's not on the field, that defense just does not look the same. Look at Kansas State when Hunter was out.
Yeah.
Offensively
Mm-hmm.
and defensively, they just did not look the same when they lost that game. Granted, it was literally on some BS, but I
Mm-hmm.
digress. Uh, but Travis Hunter, he's a great player. He really is, and statistically, he's putting up outstanding numbers. And he's just phenomenal, and that's what a Heisman winner should be. So I can't argue against that. Yeah, I would say Travis Hunter for me too, and I'd be surprised if someone else does win it, especially Gianti, because I know he's had a hell of a season. I think what kind of impacts everything, he plays in the Mountain West.
That's it. It's
Yeah.
it's he could do the same thing where if he played at Alabama, Georgia, wherever, he'd be up there too. But it's the stupid power, the power five versus the group of five kind of thing going on with him.
Mhm. It's the conference. It's
Competition level. It's this. It's that. It's the bad part about college football. It's like that these schools have no chance at glory.
because of the conference they play in and just not the lack of
Yeah.
attention that's on these guys. Because
Mhm.
Colorado has been on
Well,
top.
yeah, and let's hope that changes with the 12-team playoffs. You can kind of get, there's more open slots. So it seemed like a Boise State, an Army, and Nathan could sneak in and maybe pull off some upsets like March Madness. Maybe we're moving towards the change, but for right now, that bias exists.
Yeah. So, and like I said, Colorado plays in the Big 12. A lot of competition, attention, obviously from TV because Colorado has been on national TV for every single game this season. GNT and Boise State they play late at night.
Sports
Usually,
Network.
yeah, sports on different sports networks. Maybe it's ESPN. I mean, like ESPN Plus per se. Not a lot of people have that, so it's just a
Yeah,
mix of everything.
mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to see him. We're like, you're going to see Dion and Travis Hunter every week. Even if they are on late, it's going to be like the late game on Fox, not
Exactly.
CBS's third network.
There you go. So, we'll see what happens at the end of the season. We're still 5 weeks away from the end of the regular season, so we're gonna enjoy it, and we'll see if Travis Hunter can continue. And prayers he does stay healthy because of one wrong injury, and that just impacts the whole Heisman race. So we'll see what happens. All right, last segment, NFL award predictions. We're at the midseason point. Next week we'll talk trade deadline, and like Brian mentioned, 5 things we'd rather do than watch the whole election crap. That's gonna happen next week. That's gonna be fun. But we thought we'd give our award predictions um, at the midway point of the NFL season. So we'll do MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year for both offense and defense, and Coach of the Year. We can so each of us will just name the player and just give one sentence why we think those are our
Yep.
choices. So, Brian, you first. Who do you have for MVP and why, good sir?
I got Josh Allen. He's basically revived Buffalo Bills because they were seen as kind of a team on the downhill. They're the Super Bowl favorites, the favorites in the AFC right now, and a lot of it has to do with the way Josh Allen's been playing with a limited receiving core.
All right. I'm going to go Lamar Jackson. I think he's top 10 in at least all passing categories. He's top 50 in rushing yards as well. He's leading the Ravens. I know the record's like 5-3. But look, his offense let him down last week. So
Exactly.
give me the Ravens. Lamar Jackson. Offensive Player of the Week. Offensive Player of the Year. Who do you have, bud?
Same team as your guy,
Ooh,
Derrick Henry.
same here.
You just every game, it just feels like he breaks off just like 10 yards a gain every single time. It's impossible to stop him. And when you got someone like that, it's kind of hard not to give him the award.
Yeah. Can't argue with that at all. He's a great back, putting up outstanding numbers. This Ravens team was fit for him. Him and Lamar are outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive Player of the Year. Who do you have?
Sexy Dexy. I know it's not likely, but when you lead the league in sacks as a nose tackle, that's a really hard accomplishment to do. You have to give it to him at that point. So Dexter Lawrence, your Defensive Player of the Year.
Leads the league in sacks. His impact on this Giants defense is second to none. You take him out, we've seen what this Giants defense is. So if there's anyone,
Saquon Barkley broke all his big runs off, was just because he wasn't out there.
like that's so far any team that's played against the Giants have taken advantage when Lawrence is off the field. So he deserves it, and I'm sure he's up for contention for it. I mean, TJ Watt, I guess, is a candidate as well, but Dexter Lawrence is, he's playing at a high level, like very high level. So I have him same defensive player of the year. Offensive rookie of the year. Do we have the same guy as well?
Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
How can it not be Jaden Daniels? He's
Exactly.
revived. They'll go coach of the year too. Is it Dan Quinn?
Ooh, that's a question. We'll get there when we get there. I want to see what your thoughts on that one.
Jaden Daniels, he's revived the Washington team. If he wasn't the front runner before, the Hail Mary clinched it for him.
He just
injury.
He makes those throws, man, and he plays with his legs and his arm as well. If he just stays healthy, that he played through that rib injury and did what he did on last Sunday, that's super impressive. So shout out to him. Definitely rookie of the year for both of us. How about defensive rookie? Defensive rookie of the year was hard to look into. But there's one guy that stood out among the rest, and I feel like we have the same guy as well for that one.
I'll let you go first. I feel like I've talked a lot this segment. You give it.
I appreciate it. For me, I had Jared Verse from the Rams.
Yes.
Like I mentioned, it was hard to just find a guy, but he stood out the most. He had the most sacks by rookie this season. Leader in tackles for loss. He was first among all edge rushers in tackles as well. And he's on pace to eclipse every statistical mark Will Anderson had last season because he won Defensive Rookie of the Year, except for interceptions. But that's granted because he's edge rusher. So Jared Verse, to me, Defensive Player of the Year. There's not really anyone standing out in terms of that.
It was the hardest category for me because I'm just like, who's going to
stand out? Yeah. So I think Verse kind of is separating himself from the rest, and there's a pretty big gap between him and the rest of the competition. So
yeah.
And the Coach of the Year. I know you said Dan Quinn. I had Dan Campbell, but why do you think it's
Dan? That's a good one. I think it's Dan Quinn because look at where Washington was last year compared to where they are now. Like last year, they had Sam Howell starting quarterback, but they were the second overall pick last year with
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
Disaster, a complete mess. It looked like this was a multi-year rebuild. Dan Quinn comes in year one, establishes a culture, brings in really good coordinators like Cliff Kingsbury, and has, figured out a way to get his young rookie quarterback to be a superstar in this league. That
Mm-hmm.
is a coach of the year mind. Same thing with how Dable won in 2022, from the Giants to the lows of lows to the highest of highs. Now, he needs to make the playoffs and do all that, but as of right now, I think Dan Quinn's made the most improvement to a team. Because,
Mm-hmm.
the Lions are a half away from making a Super Bowl last year. It's not really a surprise where they are right now compared to the Commanders. Like, oh God, wow, it's good for them.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, like I know Campbell won it last year, but the team is 6-1 so far this year. They're the best team in the NFC by far, 100%. Offense and defense have played extremely well, and that warrants to me, attention. And it's hard for a coach to win back-to-back Coach of the Years, but Dan Campbell has made a case to do so. He's leading his team. There's the the deficits. No, not the deficits. The quality of the wins that they're having is very, very good, I would say. I think that's like a simple way to put it. So for me, I think it's Dan Campbell. Dan Quinn, though, I do not even disagree with that whatsoever. But at the end of the day, I do think Dan Campbell does have a crit. Not oh my god, I can't even talk. A legit chance to repeat as coach of the year. So with that being said, that'll wrap it up here for a short episode here of the Third and 10 podcast. We appreciate you guys for watching and listening. You can follow us on social media at BrianPG1016. You can follow me at Nathan_Nguyen24 and our podcast page at Third and 10 Pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and
Reels popping out this week. Got a few reels out this week. They look good.
Yeah, I appreciate appreciate that, and we appreciate you guys' support. And we'll continue to create content for you guys. We'll be back next Tuesday, election day.
Next week, full episode. We know it's a little short, but Halloween stuff going on. Little crazy here. A little crazy.
We'll redeem ourselves next week, we promise. But with that
Yeah.
being said, we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Peace.